Hey guys, Breon Price here with the Cincinnati branch of UMortgage and Jimmy Hobson out of the Salt Lake City branch. We are filling in for Todd and Andy today on this week's version of $100 Million Producer. Jimmy, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Happy Friday.
Yes.
Always,
Yeah, like no such thing as a Friday in our world, bro.
I mean, it's like I think COVID really ruined all days for me. Like every day is a work day, and it really doesn't matter anymore.
Exactly.
So obviously we're filling in. It's really awesome and really blessed to be a part of a company that has multiple $100 million producers that can fill in. Obviously Todd and Andy had other obligations today, so we're kind of stepping in. But I wrote down a couple of topics, for us to talk about. I think the first one, and what I've learned a lot about your business and what I really appreciate it, because it's something that I also focus heavy on, is your expertise in your craft. Yeah. And, you're really a technician, probably one of the best and most diverse, VA specialty I've ever seen. In fact, I don't do a ton of VA business, and I was sitting next to you at our summit and just happened to get a VA condo deal. I haven't got one of those in 18 months. You're literally pouring out of your skin VA deals. So
yeah, I love it.
So what's your background? How did you get into that? Fill us in, man.
Yeah. So, obviously I've been in the business 6.5 years. It'll be 7 years in July. When I decided to become a broker in 2018, I really decided to focus on VA. Obviously I'm about 50%, maybe 55% VA this year. Last year was about 40%, and same in 21. And it's just always been my passion. I live 15 miles south of an Air Force base. I'm a patriot. I'm very much a supporter of the military. And I did not serve, but I figure it's the way I can serve our servicemen and women. Yeah. And as you've seen, we've got some of the best VA originators in the country that work here. And I'm honored to work alongside of them. But it really is my passion to help people. Like I told you when you guys were out here visiting us, a month or so ago, I said, look, I want you guys to do more VA, but I want you to understand it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, is doing it and understanding are different. Like your background, obviously, you were an underwriter, conventional guidelines, backwards, forwards, inside and out. And at one point you had your SAR, right? You did right. VA, but that's not your focus. That's been my focus. So I think that's one thing about this company, and having everyone that's done that volume, is you've got a lot of expertise in other ways. For example, Todd and Andrew, right? Andrew's done way more VA loans than Todd ever has. Todd's a technician of conventional loans. And I think that's the best part. And so that's what I've focused on, is just learning it, and then just literally swings at the plate, man. There are a lot of great originators out there, but I think what makes you exceptional is literally doing loans.
100%. And I agree. There's so many people out there that just have not gotten enough at bats. And I think that's one of the challenges of getting into this business. Yeah. Is you're not really, to me, it's like a car, right? Until you hit 50,000 miles, that engine's not even broken in yet. It's the same thing here. Yeah. Until you're year 3, you've seen 1,000 credit reports, and you know how to read them, and the guidelines, and where to go, and what's a gray area and what's not. You're bound to make a mistake. And unfortunately, in this business, in the purchase side of things, which is what we do, it's a zero-sum game. There are no mistakes. You make a mistake here, and you're going to be a detriment to the brand.
Exactly. We talked about this. If someone's making 50 grand a year or 60 grand a year, and they've got $1,500 in earnest money, at the end of the day, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we've got to protect that money like it's our last dollar. You know what I mean? Because frankly, if you screw up a purchase and cost someone, maybe they put their notice into their apartment and now they can't buy a house because you did it wrong or you're a moron, that affects a lot of people.
Well, and that's the monetary side of things.
Yeah.
What about the listing agent and the buyer's agent? Do you think we're ever going to get a deal from them again?
Oh yeah, man, it's terrible.
And I think that's the, where this company, I think, is trending, and what I'm super excited about. We try not to promote UMortgage too much here, but it's kind of hard when Jimmy's got the logo on the back. But this isn't a spot for new originators. I mean, if we're just going to be, take the political correctness out of it, like, we want experts here, or we want to train experts, with my staff. I mean, we dive into the guidelines, and I was going to ask you kind of how you got, so good at VA loans, but it sounds like, just at bats. And
I went through all the training. So I went through military mortgage boot camp. Some people may recognize that, which is now Veteran Mortgage Advisors. So I've started that training as well. When Chris Griffith, people may know Chris, started Vet VA, I was one of the original people. The second guy to pass all the testing, was an OG squad leader there. And frankly, being a moderator there has actually made me better, because then I have to literally do the work to find answers to these people's questions. And that's what it is, no different than anything else. I mean, if I don't know the answer, and here's the thing is, this is where people fail, my friend. And this is like, they think they have to be all things to all people. There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? I have not seen this exact scenario. Give me 15 minutes and let me get right back to you. People appreciate that. They don't want you to blow smoke. They want you to know what you're talking about.
100%. And they just want the right answer. And if it takes 15 minutes to get it, then just take the 15 minutes to get it. I mean, there's no sense in being a hero and just spouting it off right away. You're a hero if you get the right answer, whether it's right now or whether it's 15 minutes, from now. And I think that's where people just feel pressured to just spout something off, like, oh, we can't do that. And what drives me insane is when, like, if you don't know, you just say no. You know, like, to me, actually, that's worse than saying, if you don't know, you say yes. Like, no, like actually figure it out, talk about it, find a solution to the problem, and go. And I think, that the next topic that I kind of wrote down is mindset, and my mindset right now in this industry, has shifted from, like, I only really do a paper business to now I do all business. Like, we are on such a run right now that, here at UMortgage and really, like, in our market, Cincinnati, that, why even give anybody a lifeboat? I mean, I heard Matt Ishby say this a couple months ago when they dropped their FHA from 640 to 620. He's like, I'm not going to throw anybody a lifeboat right now. Right. I mean, we have such a good product. We have such a good service. We've built such strong relationships with the real estate community that, like, why even give anybody else an opportunity? I mean, like, ultimately they're probably going to mess it up anyways. So let's provide great service, not only for that second, third, fourth time home buyer, which is something I focus on, but also that first time home buyer, but also that client that's dual eligibility VA, or that client that's a first time home buyer that needs, borrower smart. I had never done a borrower smart deal. I didn't even know what it was. I was an underwriter. I didn't even know what borrower smart was, right? Because I just hadn't focused on it. So, I know your mindset is very similar, enlighten us, buddy.
You'll appreciate this. So in Utah, we have a state bond program. They call it Utah Housing, right? And for the longest time, it's one that we couldn't do. But now we have it because of one of our partners picked it up. And so I posted literally yesterday, and my team's doing the same. I was like, I now have Utah Housing, which means you have zero reason to call anybody else. I already know I'm better at every other loan, right? Now that I've got the bond program, it's over. I was like, guys, why would you call anybody? Because that's the problem, is that's how retail essentially has kept their head above water the last, year with the rates, is they've had this to capture the first time buyers. It's, I don't love the program. However, it is a necessary program for buyers, right? And so that's the whole thing. And, when I talked to you guys when you were out here, I was like, that's the best part about UMortgage is you're the second, third, fourth time home buyer, but look, you've got people on your team that will do all those other loans, right? We just need to make sure they understand how. Like, we're doing a VA training next week for the team about how to qualify a VA borrower, because it's important, because everyone needs to understand all loans. Now, do I think you need to do all loans to be great? Certainly not. But there can be technicians within your office that know that, right? Everyone knows in my office, if there's a question about VA, they come to me, period.
I think everybody knows that company-wide. I don't think it's just your office. I think I know my staff, even people that weren't out in Salt Lake City for our trip, have reached out to you. And, the other thing about mindset, because mindset encompasses so many things. I was on the discovery call with Anthony yesterday, and we were talking about, the broker model versus retail, and kind of how UMortgage has really found a really nice, comfortable spot right in between there.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that don't, that don't realize kind of where UW or where UMortgage fits, in the broker model, there's really no it's somewhat splintered. Okay. And, I don't want to sit here and bash the broker, model, but like it's a bunch of independently owned companies, that are all, trying to get ahead. And I love it. And it's very much a startup feel. Okay. And, reaching out to another broker for, let's say information or knowledge, you always have to be careful of well, I don't want to give them too much, right? Because I don't want them to just snake the deal, And, in the retail model, like there's a ton of people that you can reach out to, but you're paying for that privilege, right? I mean, that's why their margins are so high. That's why, they struggle. Everybody just wants a cut.
Yep.
Okay? Jimmy does not receive any cut from my branch. I don't receive any cut from Jimmy's branch. Okay. Sure. We talk all the time. I talk to loan officers in his branch. I talk to, his loan officers call me and ask me questions. Like, this is a true community. And our mindset is when you win, I win. And I don't necessarily need to be directly compensated for that win. Okay. Because I know that you're bettering the brand that's here. And, that mindset is so powerful. I mean, it's entrusting. It's very much like, that Nick Saban Alabama mindset of everybody does their job, step in and help when needed, and we will win. Yep. Right? Don't do more than what you need to do. Just do your job.
Yeah. Well, it's 100%. I mean, it's better than anywhere I've been. And obviously I've been in wholesale for 5 years. But I mean, the reality is like we've got big national brands that have branches 5 miles from each other in Utah that don't even talk to each other. I'm like, what is the point of that? I mean, we're a community. I wouldn't care if someone propped up a branch 25 miles from me. They're my teammate, regardless, right? We are not competition with one another because, we respect each other's business. And I think we all get better together. I mean, obviously, we've been here longer than you guys, but you've already seen it in your short time. I mean, the biggest thing is it's literally a community. It's, and people talk about culture, and that's such a trite word because that's very much a Gen X or Gen Y word. Not Gen X, but a Gen Y or Gen Z word. It's all about culture and this and that. We frankly, truly have it, though. It's more than just a collaborative. There are people here that probably care way more than they should, but that's a good thing because we've got raving fans,
100%. And, the amount of passion that's behind it. I mean, that's what attracted me to it is, this is the only job I've ever had. I've literally never had another job outside of the mortgage industry, and I'm sucked in. I mean, there's literally, once you get it rolling, I mean, what else? Like, I'm a walking HR nightmare now. I mean, what am I going to do? Go work at Fidelity and work on the trading desk? I mean, I think I'm going to have drinks with a realtor, for lunch today. I mean, it's, and I think, when we go to this, with this being the $100 million producer show, one of the questions I wanted to ask you, because this is something that I'm coming off of closing 27 loans or 28 loans in February. I got 31 in March. Nice. And I know that your branch is just absolutely crushing it. One of the things that I don't think a lot of people talk about publicly is burnout. Everybody in this industry, it hits everybody. I think I'll be honest, it hits me probably 3-4 times a year where it's just like, I can see my energy level coming down. I almost have to like check myself out, of the game, for a short period of time to refresh and re-energize. And I was curious in how you do it because you have so many more people than what I do. Right. Yeah. So, I'm curious on what your mindset is with it.
Well, so I mean, part of it is that's why we plugged the third guy in because it was so much. And unfortunately, my personality is such that if there's something that needs to be solved, I need to solve it. I can't wait. I can't delay it. To be honest with you, the best thing for me is usually 4 or 5 days on the beach in Mexico. So, with just my wife. And unfortunately, I'm in the middle of a massive remodel, so I haven't been able to do that. And I'm just like, man, I need that. So literally, I'm kind of at that point right now where, I'm not quite as get up in the morning and go as I was, 2-3 weeks ago. and that kind of thing. And frankly, at the end of the day, but I know it's coming. And then literally once I know this is checked off and I've got everything solved, I'm going to be on the beach for a week. And then I'll be fine, and then go back at it again, because frankly, this is kind of what my job and my life are the same thing. I mean, I've got 4 kids, I've got grandma lives with me, and I'm responsible for a lot of people, including my employees. And some days I just need to give myself a break. Some days I need to sleep past 5 o'clock, some days I got to do that. And that's really what it comes down to. And we've been traveling and hitting us so hard, as because we were just in Philadelphia, that, I probably need a week somewhere without my phone.
And guys, we obviously do a lot of business and we push a lot of loans through, and, that doesn't mean that we don't have fires. I mean, I got a whole list right now of things that I got to do once we get off of this call. I got appraisal shortages. I got files where underwriting's beating them up. I got, borrowers that are calling the realtor and saying, I don't understand why they're asking for this stuff. I got a realtor right now that's asking me why I need page 6, 7, and 8 of their bank statement. Like, I have the exact same amount of problems, or the exact same problems as everybody else.
Sure.
Maybe even more of them because we have so many loans going on right now. Having that support system, is crucial. And, I have, yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine that works for Prime Lending, and he's about 45 minutes north of me. And, I can't stress enough that, like, you got to find somebody that you can almost just vent to, right? And you can almost just that understands, and that's one of the really cool things about UMortgage. I ran my own company for 4 years. I had so many conversations with my wife, who has no mortgage background, and she's probably like, I don't understand what you're talking about. Fix the problems, I guess. Right. And so, here it's like, you really do have that support system of people that you can talk to about it. And, and it's nice to have a third party kind of look at it and say, hey, have you thought about doing it this way? Or maybe it's, why don't you just, turn yourself off, turn your business over to somebody else for a couple of days, and then come back refreshed. And what's amazing, and I think what's really cool about, my drive, and I know that your drive, I'll come back from a long weekend and just ready to roar. I mean, it's at 110%, 150% really of ready to rock. And there's a lot of people here that have that, and it's nice. And it's because it does hold you accountable to a higher level.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's the thing is, for perspective for people that are on here, and if you've been in an LO for a while. So literally I went home from the office I was working out of essentially after they announced COVID, right? And literally for 2 years worked from a home office. And I'm very self-motivated, man. I think literally there were days I'd shower at 1 o'clock because I've been working for 7 hours kind of thing, right? But really it's just every day I get up and realize that, it's even a bigger deal now. And you've got employees. It's like I'm responsible for a lot of people. And so that motivates me even more because I realize, and this is not me saying I'm better than anybody or whatever, but there are just a lot of people that frankly shouldn't do this job. No offense to people that are watching, but there are a lot of you that need to do a better 1003 and maybe choose a different career path because you're not cut out for this. I mean, we're different mindset. I mean, we're very far apart. I'm 49 years old, but I've only been doing mortgages for 6 years. So I haven't got the massive burnout. I was talking to Dan Larenko yesterday. He's like, what are you doing for yourself? I'm like, bro, I was like, I got a 12-year-old. I got 6 years to crush. 6 years ago, as hard as I can. And then in that amount of time, raise somebody up below me, including my partners, and make sure that my business is on autopilot at that point and I can keep driving forward. But that's what motivates me. Money doesn't motivate me. I mean, I've had 7-figure years, 3 years in a row. I'm not worried about that.
Right. What
motivates me is watching my people get to, 40, 50, 60 million. That's I mean, 200-300 grand is life-changing money for most people. And it's awesome to watch.
It is. And when you do this year over year over year, like there has to be something else that motivates you besides the money.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that's because otherwise, I think part of the reason why I did more business in 2022 than I did in 2021 and I did in 2020 was because, I didn't take the low hanging fruit.
Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to Todd Bitter about this, the other day, and we were talking about refinances. And I mean, literally for me to do a refinance for a client, first off, they had to be a past client. Second off, they had to probably ask me twice. Okay. I mean, for me to really do it, because I was so focused on the purchase side of this game that the refinances, were so second nature, and I didn't even want to go down there. And I think that, just going to say what it is, like a lot of $100 million producers are never going to hit 60 again.
Yep.
Because you focus too much on the low hanging fruit, and you don't have that base. I'm going to do $100 million this year, and I knew I was going to do $100 million May of last year, because I have the relationships, I have the purchase business, I have the new construction already dialed in. I have $50 million on the January 1 of 2023. I had $50 million on the books for this year already done. House is being built, ready to rock. And, and I would not have been able to do that if I would have focused on refinances in 2021.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we're building a foundation here, and once you get to that point, it's very residual.
So with that, I mean, obviously one thing, and I don't know if you shared on the last time, one thing you should obviously share with some of these people is, what was your focus to get that new construction business? Because that's a huge deal. I mean, I was about 60% purchase in 21, which carried over, which my business last year was about 70% of what it was in 21, which accounts for purchase, right? Mm-hmm. So that makes sense. But tell me what you did to build those relationships. What was it? Because you were the second look lender for their preferred lender? Was it because you're just better and you do your job better? What happened?
So this is good. So first, never be the second look lender.
Yeah. There you go.
Hold yourself to a higher standard than that. And I think I love hearing our competition say, hey, you know what, if there's a deal that Breon doesn't do, it's feel free to kick it over to me. Or hey, if Breon turns something down, then feel free to kick it over. No, because guess what? You're never gonna get the first look then, ever. Have more confidence to ask for the good business, and that's what we did when we first started in the working with these builders was, hey, we're going to be able to offer a better product than what everybody else does. We're going to offer a better service than what everybody else does. We're going to white glove, everything. And, we understand what those clients were like, even when I didn't. I mean, I remember literally, switching from operations, underwriting and processing to being a loan officer and being and sitting down with a builder and being like, hey, I get it. I know what your clients are going through. I know what, you're building them $1 million home. I had never bought a home that was more than 400,000. I had no business going into that. But you know what? I understood that as long as I did my job and I communicated and I was upfront and I think the biggest thing is I was relatable, those are people too, right? I mean, and they're, understand what they're going through. They're buying the most expensive home they've ever bought. And in fact, they're actually building it, which if you've never built a home or, going through a remodel, I mean, trying to envision what this is going to look like and then having months to think about it is nerve-wracking for a lot of people.
Oh,
it is really rewarding, but you have to be relatable and you have to understand that, that all these people want to do is feel like you have their best interest and are going to take care of what's going on. I have a $1.6 million deal going on right now in Indiana. And, be honest with you, these people are they're calling us twice a day. We're getting down to crunch time. Yeah. And I think we're going to close this one up next Friday. And, there's still a lot of things not done with the home. Okay. And they're worried about their rate lock. They're worried about all those things. And, what I'm going to do with them tonight, because I texted them, I said, look, we need to just sit down and talk about all of these items. And, you hit me with everything that you have. And then, I'll answer the questions to the best of my ability. I'll get with the builder and, we'll figure out a game plan. And, that's the name of the game. Just be relatable.
I think relatable. I mean, here's the reality, man. And this is what it comes down to. A term you used early on in this is being a technician. You understand all the moving parts of loans that frankly borrowers don't know.
Yes.
And if you can dumb it down to help them understand, I'll get questions. Well, I don't understand this and I don't understand escrow. Perfect. Here's a video. Let's get on a call. I mean, that's the thing people want. They want to know. I tell people all the time, I was like, I am here to answer any question you have. Most of the time, them even knowing that, they're comfortable enough that they don't, a lot of their questions get solved, right? And really it's speed to solving. If someone texts me at 8:00 at night and has a question, they're like, oh, sorry to bother you. Look, you're not bothering me. We're closing the largest purchase of your life at $500,000. Ask me all the questions you have. You can rake me over the coals for all I care. It's a big deal.
And you know what that is? It's understanding where you fit in the transaction.
Yep.
We work for them,
exactly,
not the other way around.
Yeah.
And I think that's too many people have too big of an ego in this business. And we're probably never going to get invited back to do this again. They're going to be like, these guys they're way too aggressive. But I mean, in all honesty, guys, understand where we fit, right? I mean, to me, it's very simple. It's the builder or the realtor. It's us. And then our job is to work with title client, the title company, the insurance company, and the client. And, realizing where we fit in the transaction, we have a saying in our office. It's called check your ego at the door, right? You got an ego in this business. You're not going to work for me.
Well, at the end of the day, brother, no matter what happens, good or bad in the transaction, if it's the greatest transaction ever, realtor's going to get the glory. It happens, right? If it's the worst transaction ever, regardless of whose fault it is, we're going to get shit on. So
100%.
We've got to be the guy that balances everything. Essentially, we've got PhDs in psychology for the realtor, for the title company, for the builder, for the client. And basically, it's our job essentially to almost be like a quote unquote community organizers, to bring everybody together to get them on the same page.
Absolutely. And you just what the other thing that's wild about it is when you do enough transactions, it's the same set of problems.
Yep.
I mean, and the clients ask the same question, and you just get better at figuring out the solution. And a lot of times the solution is the same. It's just a matter of how you word it. I think this industry is going through a great purging, and like I said before, right now we're not really in a position to throw out lifeboats. It's going to be, the 95% of the business is going to be done by 5% of the loan originators that are out there.
Yep.
And that's what's going to happen. I mean, it's sad, but it's the truth of this industry is kind of purging itself, and it needed it. I mean, it's that spring cleaning, or whatever you want to call it. I'm super excited. I think that, the future, is very bright. Those of you that are at UMortgage, we can feel it. I mean, I've never felt, even through I feel like I'm going through a little bit of a burnout right now, but I've never been more optimistic and, in the direction of my team, myself, this company, and where we're heading.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little tougher out there for folks. Obviously, we're about to finish this up. A little tougher out there, but to be honest with you, now is the time to literally put your foot on the gas. I mean, burnout, solve your burnout, fix that. But make sure if you have the opportunity to seize market share, do it.
100%. Yeah, because it's not going to be there. Somebody's going to take it,
Exactly.
So, hey, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. Have a good weekend, and we look to see you guys all soon.
Sweet.